Hi everybody, Dan Bailey here with another Fujifilm video for you. Before I get started, just want to take a minute to say welcome to all the new subscribers and say thanks to everybody who's taken the time to watch my videos and leave comments in the past few months. Very much appreciated. If you'd like to offer me even more support here on the channel, you can leave a super thanks, and you can do that by clicking on the little heart-shaped icon right down below here. Okay, let's get started. The new X-H2 and X-H2S are the first Fujifilm X series cameras to use the brand new 5th generation X-Trans sensor and the X-Processor 5 image processing engine, which has twice the processing power of the previous models. And this new technology brings a whole new level of performance and advanced innovations to the X series and gives us some really powerful features that we've never seen before in any of the previous Fujifilm cameras. And at the same time, they function just like any other X series camera, with all of the same creative features and useful settings that we've seen on any of the previous X series models from the past few years. In this video, I'm going to outline most of the new features and advancements that are found on the new XH models, but first we're going to talk about why it is that Fujifilm decided to break up the XH series into two very distinct cameras. The main reason is because of the simple fact that traditional camera sensors perform very differently when shooting stills versus when they're shooting video. Still photographers demand very high image quality from the cameras, and this is largely gained from a sensor that has a very high megapixel count. However, more megapixels starts to slow down the read speeds from your sensor to the processor. And when you're shooting high-speed video, this can cause rolling shutter effects. Most dedicated video cameras keep the rolling shutter effects to a minimum by using a lower megapixel count on the sensor, usually between 12 and 26 megapixel. However, this obviously doesn't translate to the highest possible image quality if you're shooting stills. Most modern cameras, including all the recent Fujis like the X-T4, even the X-E4 and the X-S10, they've all done a really good job in balancing these limitations. But as our own demands as photographers continues to grow higher, and as we expect more from our equipment, we want more speed and better quality from our little picture-taking machines. And that's where the brand new stacked sensor technology comes in. A lot of people have been waiting for stacked sensors to hit the X series, and now they're here. But what is a stacked sensor? On a traditional CMOS sensor, the pixels, or the photoreceptors, and the actual wiring and circuitry that are used to translate that light to the image processor are manufactured as a single layer silicone wafer chip. These new stacked sensors have two layers of construction, with the photoreceptors on one layer and the second layer of circuitry below it, which allows for incredibly fast read speeds even with sensors that have a higher megapixel count. So essentially, with a stacked sensor, you get the best of both worlds, high quality imagery and blazingly fast video performance. Now, due to technological limitations in performance and cost, stacked sensors are pretty new. The first ones came about in 2021. This new technology is what propelled the X-H2S, which is built for speed. It has a brand new 26 megapixel 5th generation X-Trans CMOS 5 HS sensor, which allows for unrivaled read speeds that are 4 times faster than what was found on the X-T4. This gives you capabilities for 40 frames a second of blackout-free shooting, over 1,000 consecutive high-speed frames at 30 frames a second, extremely fast autofocus performance when tracking moving subjects, and it can shoot 4K video at 60p without cropping, and it can shoot 4K video at high speed, which means incredibly high performance and high quality videos in slow motion. It's basically a fast action, fast shooting video and still powerhouse. The X-H2, on the other hand, is built with the brand new 40 megapixel X-Trans CMOS 5 HR sensor, which gives it unparalleled image quality. In addition, with its new processor and enhanced image quality algorithms, you get an incredible amount of resolution with a very low signal to noise ratio, even when shooting in low light. And it has a brand new pixel structure that's even more efficient when capturing that light, a native sensitivity of ISO 125, compared to the X-H2S, which has a native ISO of 160, just like the X-T4 and the X-T3. The X-H2 also has a maximum electronic shutter speed of 180,000th of a second. That's right, 180,000th of a second. The X-H2 tops out at 132,000th of a second, just like all the models going all the way back to the X-T1. The X-H2 also has a new feature called Pixel Shift Multi-Shot, where the camera's stabilization system shifts the sensor by 1 pixel over the series of 20 frames. And it combines all those captures into one 160 megabyte final image that has the maximum amount of clarity and resolution and sharpness and color accuracy that's possible from the sensor. And when it comes to video, the X-H2 is certainly no slouch. With its 40 megapixel sensor, it can shoot ultra high quality video at 8K and 4K at 30p. And it also does high speed video, but only in HD, whereas the X-H2S can do 4K video at high speed. Both the X-H2 and X-H2S support Apple's ProRes video format. They both have an incredibly expanded dynamic range of up to 14 stops when shooting video, and they can both output full resolution raw video via HDMI to an external recording device. So whether you have the X-H2 or the X-H2S, you could record and produce a full Hollywood-style motion picture production with either camera. Both the X-H2 and the X-H2S have a lot of features in common. They both have a 7-stop IBIS stabilized sensor system. They both have a brand new film simulation called Nostalgic Neg that comes over from the GFX. It's similar to the classic Neg film simulation, but you get slightly warmer colors and increased shadow detail with a little bit lower contrast. And if you like to shoot in JPEG mode, you now have the option to shoot in either JPEG or HEIF format, which is the same format your smartphone uses to capture images. You get the same high quality imagery, but with about 30% smaller file sizes. And both cameras use the brand new Subject Detect Autofocus system, which is calibrated to recognize and track a number of different subject styles like automobiles, bicycles, trains, birds, things like that. The X-H2's higher pixel count means it has more phase detect pixels on the sensor, and that's going to give it a slight edge when focusing on still subjects. Where the X-H2S's stacked sensor gives you better performance when you're trying to track things that move. And as I said before, both the X-H2 and the X-H2S are full X-series through and through. They have the same DNA and almost every single feature that's common to all of the models going back to the X-T2 and X-Pro 2. And in fact, some of the creative settings you'll find inside the brand new X-H models are things that have appeared on every single X-series model, even going back to the X-T1, in some cases the X-10 and 20, and even the original X-100. So if you're at all familiar with any of the X-series cameras, you're going to feel right at home with one of these new X-H models in your hands. And if you're new to the Fuji system, I think you'll find that in addition to these new high performance features they have, these legacy features, which have been the fundamental bedrock of the X-series line for the past decade, are really fun to use, easy to understand, and give you a ton of creative options, high performance, and a really fun shooting experience. Now I guess in theory, Fujifilm could have just produced a 40 megapixel stacked sensor and make one X-H camera to rule them all. But my guess is that with a relatively new technology of stacked sensors, which again are only a year or so old, it probably would have been much more expensive to produce that kind of sensor. So maybe with the X-H3 line, we'll have just one camera to rule them all. But for now, we've got an X-H2 and an X-H2S, both amazing cameras. Of course, if you're primarily a still shooter, you'll probably want to lean towards the X-H2. And if you shoot ultra fast action and fast motion video, then you'll probably want the X-H2S. At any rate, if you are a Fuji shooter, you'll definitely want to check out my best-selling ebook, X-Series Unlimited. This 400-plus page guidebook will show you everything you need to know in order to get the most performance and the most fun from your Fuji camera. And the X-H2S is available right now, but as soon as the X-H2 comes out at the end of September, my guide will be fully updated and compatible with both of those models. So that's all for now. I hope you found this helpful. Please subscribe to my channel. You can leave me a comment. You can give me a super thanks if you want. You can find me on social media and Patreon at Dan Bailey Photo, and you can visit my blog and website as well. So thanks very much for watching. Have fun with your Fujis out there, and I'll see you next time.